Okay, hello everybody and welcome to KPML, the communist podcast Marxist-Leninist, who usually is a podcast in Swedish, but now we for the first time is doing an episode in English because we have a guest with us and that guest is Nils. Hello Nils.
Hello Wilke, thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
Thank you for being in the podcast.
If you're going to talk about a revolutionary situation, you have to have people who are physically able to wage revolution, who are physically able to organize and physically able to do all that is done.
Men vad vore KPML om de inte hade SÄPO och hänga upp sin existens på?
Om vi ska kunna få en egen stat, vi ska kunna bygga arbetarstaten. God, those communists are amazing.
Who are you?
Okay, yes, as you already told the audience, my name is Niels. I am 34 years old and I am from Germany, from the city of Bremen in the northwest of Germany. I'm a member of the German Communist Party and for a living I'm a social worker at a big welfare organization.
Yeah, you are from Bremen, and we met each other when I was visiting Bremen almost 2 years ago.
Yes, this was very nice because it was the first time I met a comrade from Sweden, and it was very interesting to hear you tell about the situation in Sweden and so on.
Yeah, I think so as well. I have never visited a comrade in another country before. We sometimes, in the city where I live, we have a little communist bookshop that our party is holding in. And sometimes we have had guests that maybe a Turkish communist is in the city and they, in some weird way, they know that we have a bookshop and they come by and say hello when it's open. But you were the first comrade I visited outside of Sweden, so it was very interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too, and I hope I will be able to return the favor maybe when this whole Corona situation has gotten better.
Yeah, you are super welcome, and I will for sure come back to Bremen as well when the situation is under control. Then I thought I have some questions here, and I thought that we both can answer the questions, because now when the episode is in English, maybe more people outside Sweden will listen to the podcast, and they are maybe interested in both Germany and Sweden. So we can discuss these questions together and making a little report from our countries about the communist movement and stuff like that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that, yes. How is the communist movement or the revolutionary movement doing in Germany right now, Nils?
Oh, well, at first, I have to state that it's very fragmented. I guess this is the same in a lot of countries, but I sometimes have the feeling that in Germany it's even more fragmented than in most other countries. And in general, the communist movement in Germany is not very strong at the moment. I think this is part of this is because we are so fragmented. So we are the different parties or different organizations don't really often work together to do campaigning or only even doing a demonstration or something. So in most cases we just tolerate each other. And sometimes I think that the other guys are very weird. But yeah, at least in most cases we tolerate each other. But yeah, it's not very effective, I'm afraid.
It's the same thing in Sweden. There is an internal joke in the Swedish left that everybody is a cult except the party you are organized in. That you say, that party, they are like a cult. They are like Charlie Manson or stuff like that. But yeah, it's the same in Sweden. I would say that if we talk about the revolutionary movement in Sweden in general, you have seen like it's not as it goes more bad now that it has been before in the communist movement, but you have seen how the anarchist part of the revolutionary movement are getting fewer and fewer. I spent my teenage years in the anarchist movement, and on that during that period, it was maybe 2007 to 2010. They could like rally thousands of people in Stockholm to demonstrations and stuff, but nowadays that is like a fantasy number. If they are calling to a big demonstration in Stockholm today, the anarchists gather some maybe 300, 400 people, not more than that. So I would say that in Sweden, the anarchist movement is they are in a bad situation where they are losing many activists. But I would say that the communist movement are like, it's no big success, but it's no big backlash either. It's like it's standing still or something like that.
I wish I could say this the same for Germany. I think the communist movement is shrinking in Germany. The anarchist movement, or like anarcho-syndicalism or something, traditionally is not very strong here. But the biggest part of like the radical left activists here in Germany are like independent leftists or autonome, as we call them, who don't have like any clear ideological ideas, except from like resistance to the system or something like that. Yeah, so they those guys, they can like I don't know if you remember the pictures from the G20 summit at Hamburg 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They were able to make big demonstrations and riot with like several thousand people. Of course, also with support from other European countries. But yeah, they are like the biggest part of the revolutionary movement, if you want to count them as part of the revolutionary movement.
Yes, but if we discuss this further, what organizations are they in Germany? If we talk like communist and also like if you have any big Trotskyist organization and the anarchist organization, what is the big ones, so to speak? Not that I know that it's a small movement as in Sweden, but who is the most loudly organizations, and what organizations do you see on the street when it's not COVID-19?
Okay, in Germany, like the biggest communist party is my party, the German Communist Party, DKP. We are small, but still the biggest of the communist parties. We are Marxist-Leninists. We have not given in to Euro-communism, and we're still trying to like organize broad alliances of working class people to fight back against the constant attacks of the monopoly capitalists. The next biggest organization is MLPD, the Marxist-Leninist Party of Germany, who ironically are like they are strongly influenced by Maoism. And yeah, maybe you can imagine my party and their party, we don't get along too well, but yeah, we managed the times where there were like violent clashes a long time over.
I have a question about them. I talked to some comrade about the MLPD, and they said that they are like very environmentalist. Is that true?
It's one of the topics they are using to go into public with. But I don't think that this is really one of their core topics.
Okay.
Also, most German communist parties also have environmentalist positions, because there's no way around it.
Yeah. I understand. Yes, sorry, please continue.
Feel free to interrupt me anytime again, whenever you have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we have like a lot of smaller organizations who sometimes from the outside they look a bit funny, because they strongly embrace like traditions of the past. I mean, of course, as communists, we honor our traditions, but there's, for example, the Workers' Alliance for the Reconstitution of the KPD. Like the KPD was the classic communist party of Germany before it was prohibited by the state. They had one campaign where they dressed up like October Revolution revolutionaries and Soviet army soldiers from the Second World War, and they even had like a fake T-34 tank.
No.
And they marched through the cities and to the factory gates and tried to convince the workers that they need socialism right now.
Oh, that's cringe. That's cringe. Oh.
Yes. And also we have like organizations like the FDJ, the Free German Youth, who are like a copy of the DDR's youth organization, which had the same name, and they also wear like those historical blue uniforms of the FDJ and marched through cities in the east of Germany, so like through the former DDR, and sometimes it's very strange to look at them.
You have to talk about the anti-Deutsch, because they are world famous for being weird.
Okay. I nearly expected that you were asking about this.
Yes.
Yeah, the Anti-Deutsche, or the anti-Germans. They started as like a communist movement in the 1990s, when in Germany we had like after the annexation of the DDR, there was like a huge rise in German nationalism, and there were big problems with neo-Nazis murdering people, burning down refugee camps, and the German policy also to take a turn to the right. So many people were afraid that soon we will have like a new German fascism again. And this is where those anti-Germans united and started making politics. But then sometimes like around at the beginning of the 2000s, they suddenly thought that they found like the new source of fascism, like in Islamic fundamentalism. So, and then because of that, they started like supporting the USA and their so-called war on terror. They started supporting Israel's policy towards the Palestinian people, and from that point on, everything just went downhill. They even though they still called themselves communists or Marxists, they suddenly loved capitalism because they considered capitalism like a big machine producing freedom. So, like the next big thing to full communism. And whoever was like for some like dirty things like socialism, or whoever was critical of the US and Israel and so on, was like, yeah, a bad person, was an anti-Semite, and so this was really, really, really weird. But shockingly, they had like a big influence in the like late 2000s, early 2010s. So like they influence a lot of like Antifa groups and so on, and by now they have most of them have disappeared. Some of their leading persons have now gone like conservative politicians or working for like some capitalist think tanks and so on. But yeah, still like the things they did still have influence in like political foundations and so on.
Yeah. I have one more question about a last German organization I want to know about. What happened to the Jugendwiderstand?
Jugendwiderstand, yeah, the youth resistance. I don't really know what exactly happened to them. I think they disbanded themselves like 1 or 2 years ago. Jugendwiderstand was mainly Berlin-based Maoist group, and many people know them mainly because there have been occasions where they like acted violently against other communists. I remember there was one situation where they beat up some Trotskyites. Sometimes they were accused of using like sexist or homophobic language, or being anti-Semitic because they had like a very, very strong pro-Palestine stance. Yeah, so this is, most people only know them for those things. But what I think was really impressive about them was that they managed to to organize young people from immigrant working class areas in Berlin. Yeah. You know, like a lot of communists or leftists like talk a lot about the working class, but they have like never met anyone who actually works in a factory or works in a harbor or something like that. But they managed to organize like that kids, and had some kind of discipline in their political work, and that's something I really respect them for, even though I don't agree with some other things.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think that as well, that it's the same situation in Sweden. Sweden has a lot of immigrants, but there are very few immigrants in the politics, and in especially maybe in left-wing revolutionary politics. So that is a thing that we maybe can learn from them.
Definitely.
Is there any other organization you want to talk about, or should I tell you a little bit about the Swedish revolutionary movement?
Well, I think I could. I won't start talking about like those Trotskyite organizations because they have like the tendency to split up into new organizations like every second week. So please tell me what is it like in Sweden?
Yes. In Sweden, we have two communist parties that are Marxist-Leninist. We have the party that I am organized in, called the Kommunistiska partiet, just translated to the Communist Party. And then we have a much smaller party called the SKP, the Communist Party of Sweden. And like you said about you and MLPD, we have a little bit the same about the Kommunistiska partiet and the SKP, that we don't really get along, and they like to hang up on things that we do, and they like to comment things that we do, but we like we just doing our thing and act as we don't know that they exist. We ignore them, but I will say that the SKP they have been very good on an international level, because they are the contact party to every other communist party around in Europe, even though they are very, 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 very small compared to my party. But they were fast in taking contact with like the KKE in Greece, and I think also your party, the DKP, is in contact with this small.
Yes,
yeah,
we are.
Yes, so that's the two big communist parties, and why we are two parties is mostly historical. The SKP started as a pro-Soviet party, while my party, Kommunistiska partiet, is from a more pro-China, pro-Albania tradition. But politically today, it's not much difference between us, if you should be honest. It's most like old stuff that we still are like fighting about. Yeah, and my party newly had a problem with a revisionist, right-wing opportunist gang that almost took power in our party, but we stopped them and they left our party. And we don't want to be associated with these opportunists. Other organizations in Sweden, like in Germany, we have a lot of Trotskyist parties. The two biggest ones is International Marxist Tendency, but they is a book club that only reads books at the university. And then we have a party called Rättvisepartiet Socialisterna. It means the Justice Party Socialist. And they are more like activist Trotskyite organization. So we have one like theoretical Trotskyist organization and one more practical. We have a small Maoist group who is around a book store called October Books, Oktoberförlaget, but they are maybe 50 people maximum, so they are not big, and then some small anarchist organizations. But that's mainly the if I should say the revolutionary organizations that are in Sweden. There are some small ones here and there that only exist in one city, but I think that they don't need any shout out here. Yeah. But if we jump to the next question, how is the situation with the fascists in Germany right now? How is the nationalist wave there? What is the status of them?
Yeah, I think it's also very similar to many other European countries. In the last few years, we had seen the rise of a right-wing populist party, the AfD, Alternative for Germany, which started moderate right-wingers, like conservative professors and so on, who just thought that like the classical conservative party of Germany was not conservative enough anymore, but they are more and more turning into like a proto-fascist party, and they have by now like replaced nearly all of the classic neo-Nazi, neo-fascist parties we had before. And they are shockingly successful with like in some of Germany's federal states, they got the most votes in the elections, and luckily they are not in the government of any of the federal states so far. Yeah. So this is like this one big problem we are having. There's another thing that is really worrying me and a lot of people, and that's that over the last few years there have been more and more cases of like elite soldiers, elite policemen, and so on, who were part of fascist organizations and like hoarding weapons and explosives and making lists of people who should get like eliminated when they start their fascist revolution and so on. And this is a very disturbing development here. And yeah, the German politicians and the German like intelligence services and so on, yes, they are trying to find those people and to get them out of like the public services and so on. But of course, yeah, it's
it's scary.
It's scary, and you never know, you know, like maybe the person who was like doing these investigations in fact also is like one of the fascist comrades of those people's person he is supposed to investigate. Yeah, so there's like a big loss of trust towards the German institutions, and also this is also something that a lot of like normal people feel who are not like very into politics. Yeah,
that's serious. In Sweden, we have the same party. They call the Alternative for Sweden. So it's it's the same party, but they are not as powerful as in Germany. I would say in Sweden we have 3 extremist right-wing parties, and they all are like level 1, level 2, and level 3. Like you have one fucking crazy Nazi organization who is dangerous and violent and stuff, and they are like a small group of people. They are like maybe 2,000 militant neo-Nazis in whole Sweden. And then we have the Alternative for Sweden, that I would say is the middle one of these 3. And they are mostly people who has been thrown out of the least extremist of these nationalist parties. And then we have the big one who is called the Sweden Democrats, who are got around 15% in the Swedish election. But mostly of the Alternative for Sweden members, they are like members who got thrown out from the Sweden Democrats because they were like saying fascist and Nazi stuff open in media and stuff. Because the party Sweden Democrats, they are trying to be like the ordinary bourgeois parties, but with a strict immigrant line. But they don't like their members to openly say racist stuff, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But I think maybe it's the same in Germany, but I think that one problem that the whole left wing have done wrong when we should have stopped these people is that when these new neo-fascist movement, or what we should call it, arised, it was only people screaming like "down with racism, down with fascism," and I'm totally with that. Of course, I hate racism, I hate fascism, but that is not how you distance people from them. But if you sit down with these people or like criticize them economically and say, what do you think about unions? What do you think about good conditions on the working place? What do you think about privatizations? What do you think about selling out state-owned hospitals to capitalists? Then they couldn't answer the questions, and then people said, "Oh, these ones, they are like ordinary conservatives, and ordinary working people could were not interested in them because they didn't have any working class politics." So I think that is one, but it's too late. It's too late. That's the sad thing, that we should have done that 10 years ago. But when they came, it was very much emotional resistance against them, that you hated them for their racist ideas. And yes, we still hate them for their racist ideas, but I think that we have to confront them economically and expose them as the capitalist minions that they are, because they are right wing. They love to privatize stuff, schools and hospitals, and so and workers in Sweden at least don't like privatization of public things, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you just said, and we also had the same discussions here in Germany, like both in the broader public, or like, let's say in the left wing, left alternative media, and also within my own party. We also had this discussion on how do we deal with this party. Of course, we all agree that like their party officials, like those guys who are like driving their agenda as bootlickers of the capitalists. There's no need of discussing with them or something like that. But what about like the normal people that get caught by the things those guys are saying, Because what about the simple people that they believe in like the simple solutions that those proto-fascists offered them? And I think not everyone who like gives their vote to those proto-fascists is lost. I think it's worth fighting for those people instead of just telling them to fuck off because you agreed to what AfD said, and so now you are a fascist, and we don't want to talk to you anymore. You are like dead to us. So I think that's not the way that we can solve this.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. It's like giving walkover to the fascists. Like, it's the same, but maybe this is almost the next question we should discuss. The question is, what question is the most important for the working class in your country right now? And we can continue this discussion because it goes hands in hand. That in Sweden, we have this party called Vänsterpartiet. It means the left party, and they are the same as Die Linke in Germany, I understand. And the Swedish left party, they are like they got 10% in the Riksdag elections, and they are like a semi-big party, but they are so afraid of having to fight for in the same question as the nationalist, that they capitulate and say, no, we don't want to take this question. And one example of that is the EU, because traditionally in Sweden, the left wing has always been against the EU, not because of immigration or some humanist stance, but for the European Union is a capitalist union, making it easier for the bourgeoisie in Europe to make profit and to use workers from poor countries and use them as slave labor in rich countries, etc., etc. And what the Swedish Left Party did, only 1 or 2 or 3 years ago, I don't remember, I think it was 2019, right? The EU parliamentary election.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah. And what they did then was they said, no, we're not interested in fighting against the European Union because the nationalists are fighting against the European Union. I think that is the most idiotic I ever heard from that party, because then you are giving all these voters that the Swedish working class, a big majority of them, don't want EU and the EU. And when the left party said, no, we don't want to have this question anymore, then everybody of those just go to the nationalists, because they are the only big party talking about it. And that, I think, is a very important question for the communist movement to work with today, because we should always use our class analysis to fight these kind of stuff, and we should not care why or what the nationalists are taking in this question, because their reason are wrong and their reason are racist and their reason are capitalist. You understand me?
Yes, absolutely. We had the situation here was like nearly the same. You know, in Germany, the pro EU stance is stronger, I think. So, like, most people are convinced that the EU is a good thing, and like Die Linke, like our left party, also was a pro EU, and so like the only parties who are participating at the EU election who were not pro-EU was like the AfD and also my party. Yeah, we were candidating or we are candidating at most elections, not because we think we have any chance of getting into the parliaments, or we don't really want to get into the parliaments, but we use it to talk with people, to get into contact with people. And yes, we also said we are against the EU because, as you said, it's a capitalist construct. It's not meant to bring like freedom of movement to the people and so on, but it's meant to bring freedom of movement to capital and workforces. Yeah. But I also totally agree with you that we can't let the fascists dictate our political agenda. You know, we have the tools. We have like our theoretical tools that we use to do our analysis of things, and this is what should guide us. And the interests of the working class is what has to guide us, not what some fascists say.
Our party has a little different stance. We are against the European Union, but we don't join the election. We have a boycott line in the European election. But mostly because of the Swedish majority don't vote in the European election. We had last time it was 49%, I think, of the Swedish voters that voted. So 51% didn't vote. So you have a strong anti-EU movement in Sweden that are on the boycott line, if you understand what I mean. But it would be interesting. I'm pro a boycott in Sweden, but it would be interesting, like that go to the election and have the line that we will empty the European Parliament. Like if some party just they join the election and they say we don't send anybody, and our goal is to empty the whole Parliament and don't send anybody to the chair. That I think would be a fun idea if some party did. But I don't think my party is on that line. But I thought it was a fun thought.
Yeah, here in Germany we have like a very small party, which initially it was like a satirical party. Yeah. This party is just called the Party, die Partei. Yes, by now they have like two delegates in the European Parliament who are they are not really doing policy making of their own, but they are like only there to show how ridiculous the things are that the EU politicians are doing, and the idiocy of the things that happen within the European Union. So this is this is quite interesting to see, and also really funny sometimes.
Yeah, it sounds that way.
I think the most important questions, the most important challenges are also like more or less the same in most European countries. You know, like the topics we have to tackle, like climate change, like managing this whole Corona situation and making sure that it's not the working people who have to pay for all this.
And this question is not to me for me to answer, because it's about the DDR, the DDR. And I think that many Swedish communists, at least, are interesting to know how does the people of Germany, the working class of Germany, how does they view the DDR, and how does the communist approach DDR, and are it negative, like the bourgeois propaganda that you read in the school books in Sweden? Or is it like you have a different view on it, like an experiment? And can you tell me a bit about that? The general opinion and the communist opinion of on the DDR.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Well, maybe let's start with the today's communist opinion on the DDR in Germany. I start with like my party. My party always, since its foundation in 1968, has been always very close to the DDR, and was always a sister party of the SED, the
Sozialistische Einheitspartei Deutschland.
Yeah, exactly. Like United Socialist Party of Deutschland. Yes. So we have like a very good view on the towards the DDR, even though of course there have been like mistakes have been made, and of course there were some shortcomings and so on. But we have a positive attitude towards the DDR. Of course, other parties or organizations, of course, don't have a positive view on it. Like, of course, Maoists or Trotskyites don't like the DDR, don't like the Soviet Union, don't like today's China, and so on. Yeah, when it comes to the broader German public, the picture that is like shown of to all of them of the DDR is very bad. So the capitalist propaganda is working very hard at demonizing the DDR, like it was like the second German dictatorship. You know, like the first dictatorship was Nazi Germany, and the second dictatorship was the DDR, which is like it's so disgusting if you to compare them like that. Yes, but I'm afraid that the media and the political institutions have done a shockingly good job at demonizing the DDR and like making the failure of the DDR like the best weapon of the capitalists can use to discredit communism in Germany.
I am a bit fascinated about how the media portray different socialist experiments. In Sweden, it's like people for real think that the Berlin Wall was around East Berlin to lock in the poor people behind a communist iron curtain, when it in fact was around West Berlin because they didn't want capitalism to spread. But this is a thing that Swedes believe. Swedes think that the Berlin Wall was built by the communists to imprison the people in East Germany. That is so fucked up that they are lying about this, and people generally think so, that it was so.
Yeah, it's, okay. The situation, of course, like if you don't know so much about the German history, it also maybe confusing. Like the fact that West Berlin was like an independent political unit, which was surrounded by the DDR, and so. Of course, already because of that, there was like walls and fences around the west of Berlin. Yeah. The bourgeois media and the capitalists in general, of course, they use everything they have to discredit, to demonize every attempt at socialism. And I know, and also like a lot of those independent leftists or non-dogmatic leftists here in Germany, and they believe all of this. Yeah, they believe the capitalist lies, and they like they take like existing flaws that the DDR had and turned it into like the biggest catastrophe ever, and like they are playing the capitalists' game in that case. So yeah, it's very difficult to voice positive attitude towards the DDR in Germany, and even in parts of the left movement. Yes, of course, in the east of Germany, like on the territory of the former DDR, people made different experiences. Yeah, so there's like a lot of people who still would like to have the DDR back, or at least want to have like the achievements of socialism back, like a good medical supply, good doctors everywhere without waiting times. Like that you do not have to worry about getting thrown out of your apartment because the landlord wants to earn more money. The right to work, the right of getting a good education and a good job. all of those things were lost when Western Germany annexed the DDR. And at first, people were like, "Oh my God! Now we are getting freedom, and we can buy whatever we want, and so on." But a lot of people very soon realized, okay, maybe the things that they said at the DDR television about the capitalist West, maybe they are true.
I've heard about this expression, nostalgie, like nostalgic, but with East nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is, you in some places, of course, mostly in Eastern Germany, you have like little shops where you can buy like all the products you could buy at like DDR supermarkets back then. So like DDR bread, DDR cheese, DDR soda, all these things.
Yeah.
And this, I think, this shows that for many people a lot was lost when the DDR ceased to exist, and that they want back what they once had, even if they don't like put this in political terms, but the existence of such nostalgia shops is a good sign for that.
Yeah.
And the question is, how can the socialist movement, the communist movement in Germany, address those people? How can we reach them and maybe their children who heard the stories about the past directly from their parents or grandparents, and how can we, in general, talk to this huge mass of people who realize that capitalism can't go on the way it is now, and that capitalism is experiencing one crisis after the other, because capitalism itself is creating those crises. How can we make those people understand that there is an alternative to capitalism? But at the same time, how can we tell this to them without like sounding like I don't know, we spent the last 50 years deep frozen and just came out of the ice,
Without making a fake tank and have uniforms. And
Yes, exactly.
yeah. Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, I think that many people don't know, as you said, like the media has been very successful in demonizing all attempts to socialism around the world. You never hear the media talk about that the East German state had state-owned gay clubs and stuff like that. You never hear those like very progressive examples of stuff that that people don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. They talk about like human rights violations in the DDR, while in the in Western Germany, like homosexuality was like criminalized well into the 80s, while, as you just said, the DDR government-owned gay clubs.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yeah, it's extremely selective what the media and the political institutions, also like the schools and so on, what they are telling to the people. It's capitalist ideology.
Yeah, but Niels, I think we maybe are making to an end here in the episode. How is it if some listener that lives maybe in Sweden and they are like interesting in moving to Germany? Is it possible for someone to join the DKP if they would be interested, or to take contact with you in Germany if they move to Germany?
Yes, of course. That's not a problem. You don't have to be like a German citizen to become a member of the DKP, and we already have a lot of comrades like from Turkey, from Greece, also from Latin America and other countries in our party. So if anyone is interested in moving to Germany and joining the DKP, or if anyone just has questions about DKP or the communist movement in Germany in general, it's just contact us, and I don't know, maybe on your there's like way that people maybe who have questions about what I told you today can get into contact with me. I don't know.
Yeah, I can. We can say like this: that people can write to me, and maybe I can give them your email address or something if they have any questions.
Yes, of course. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and the same here. If there are any Germans maybe that listen and are planning to move to Sweden, you can always contact the Communist Party. We are right now trying to build out the party. We just started a new organization in the city of Bollnäs. So we are expanding, not fast, but slow, but secure, like you say in Swedish. But yeah, so nice talking to you, Nils, and I'll be hearing from you soon again, I think. I hope.
Yes, definitely. I promise. It was really fun. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you that you wanted to join.